because they're going to think you're crazy. But that's exactly, it's hidden in plain sight, and that is intentional, okay? Because again, going back to what Jonathan just said, the literacy and the understanding of these principles is the biggest legacy a rich family, a rich person can give their kids. That's in essence why they give away, there's tax benefits for that, they give away their fortune, right? Most of the mega rich, they give away, because it's structured in a certain way, guys. They get tremendous benefits from giving it away. But their kids end up with, let's say 10%. So if you're a billionaire and your son or daughter gets 10%, a lot of people look at that and like, wow, he's being cheap. I mean, the guy's a billionaire, it's his only son. How is he only going to give his child only 10%? But that 10% armed with these principles, that person is a force to be reckoned with. So it's all about literacy. It's all about asking the whys. You know, again, going back to what Jonathan said, most higher education, again, intentional, Jonathan, absolutely true, focuses on the how. How to do this, how to do that, how to do the other. And again, I'm all for higher education, guys. But they don't teach the why. And so what ends up happening? People who know how end up working for or making less money than people who know why. So Greenlight's approach is all about the answers to the why. Again, is it nice to know how? Absolutely. But you better know why if you want to be the person holding most of the money at the end of that transaction. Otherwise, your pockets are going to be hanging inside out, and the guy or the gal that knows why is going to have most of the money. And so that's how it works. So yes, Jonathan, the intentional, systematic, not racial, but economic illusion of what's important and priority and what's not is at the center of why we do this whole tour in the first place. You know, and why generally, well, we haven't charged in 2.5 years. Not one dime. We go on the road and we spend a lot of money, and then we come down to the local economy, and let's put it this way, we support the local economy, okay? Some malls get burned down, so if you see fire engines going, then you just say, okay, Greenlight's in town. We have a good time, but it's all about empowering each and every one of you. Whether we have a coaching, rapport, relationship with you, which we would love, or you just leave here tonight further empowered, I'll feel like I've done my job in terms of helping you get on the road to financial freedom. But you have to have a mentor. And again, I'm talking to our people of color in the room. You're black, you're brown, you're beige. You need mentors. You need a coach. I have a coach. Every year or two, I get a high-end coach. I just finished up a 2-year coaching relationship with Dr. Julian Sturton. You want to know what Julian Sturton is? He coaches people who run billion-dollar enterprises. He coaches the Ambassador General of the United Nations, the CEO of Shell Oil. And of course, he's not cheap, okay? But coaches have coaches. He doesn't coach me on the whole BMW thing, business, money, and wealth. He's a leadership coach. He's a strategist. He changes my perspective to help be a better coach for my clients. And again, we have to invest in ourselves. So again, going back to Jonathan's point, if you want to have true literacy that's not in the same traditional vein, look, doing what you've always done will get you what you've always gotten. So if you're getting what you want, don't change a thing. But if you know there's a little bit more in the tank, if you know that you can reach even higher financial trajectories and momentum, then it's worth your time and effort to, you know, solicit and acquire a coach. There's only 2 ways to succeed, and it's all about wisdom, right? If you want to succeed, how many people in the room are business owners? Pretty much 80% of the room. There's a lot of success elements in business, right? And we all know, no matter how successful your business is, it's not easy, right, guys? You guys make it look easy, And the people who observe you say, wow, they envy you because they don't see all the hard work and the dedication and the sacrifice, and of course the money you put into the business. You know, maybe your credit got distressed when you first started the business. But the number one approach and success factor is you must acquire wisdom. Two ways to acquire it. You can go through the school of hard knocks, right? Very expensive. Probably going to end up as a statistic, right? And so that's where that 70+% of all businesses, not some, not many, of all businesses fail in the first couple of years, right? Or you can get it through a coach, right? You can get it through a coach. So that's a lot more cost effective, less disruptive to your life and money, and you're going to be more successful. Because in order to succeed in business, and business owners who've been in business for years know what I'm talking about, you need to know the future, right? You need to know the future, what's around the corner. How can you know the future if you're just super intelligent? That's a great trait. If you got great capital, that's wonderful, but you can burn through capital. I've seen it many times. You got a great team, a product, all that great stuff, but if you don't know what's around the future, if you don't know what's around the corner and what's in the future, you know, it's going to limit your chances. The Fortune 500 companies keep recycling the same 500 executives. An executive at Nabisco will come to IBM. He doesn't know anything about computers, but he knows the stuff I'm talking about. Okay, that combined with his top flight team of Harvard and Ivy League school MBAs who know how, produces a juggernaut, right? IBM. Lou Gerstner left Nabisco, knew nothing about computers. This is like 15, 20 years ago. He didn't even have a personal computer in his house. IBM has not seen that stock price since Lou left. They went to the height over the whole history of IBM. They have not got to that stock price height. And this is a guy who knew the food business, cookies and other things. So he didn't have to know how. He knew why. So first thing you need to do is acquire wisdom. Again, you might have subject matter experience in your field. Your coach may not have that subject matter experience, but he'll bring the different perspective to you to get you to the next level. We like a lot of sports analogies at Greenlight. You know, being where BMW coaches, we like sports analogies. So for you sports fans, any basketball fans in the room? Okay, few. You guys might recall when Kobe and Shaq first got to LA together. They were in LA for 3 years. No Phil Jackson yet. How many rings did they win? 0. Who says? Then you got Phil Jackson. He was, what, 60 years old at that point? I'm sure he wasn't running up and down the floor, right? He got there the first year. What happened the first year? Chip, and then they got a number of more. So buying into the philosophy and success formula of a coach is very important. Phil Jackson talked to Kobe, he talked to Shaq, he said, you guys are tremendous specimens, tremendous athletes, tremendously talented, but you're never going to win a championship. So you can be tremendously talented and be on the human highlight film every night, or you could follow my advice and insight and win some chips. So that's what they did. And so both of those guys are going to be in the Hall of Fame. Kobe's still playing, but both going to be in the Hall of Fame because they were champions, not just because they were great players. Okay? So I hope that gives a little more insight.
Anybody at this table have any questions? Let's move to this table. Okay. Let's turn the cameras around.
Billy.
Would you also, everybody knows who Jonathan is. Just tell us who you are, what you do.
Good afternoon. My name is Sabrina Anderson. I'm actually a program manager for Lockheed Martin. So I actually, when they were reading your resume, it actually sounded just like mine, except for that millionaire part.
We're going to try to change that tonight.
So my question is, what was the turning point for you? What was the point where you said, hey, you know, I've got the experience and everything, and I want to branch out and make Greenlight a success?
Great question, Sabrina. There were 3 turning points for me. First and foremost, I got laid off from my job. I can tell you right now, the swashbuckling and business money and wealth coach you see now, That's not where I started, y'all, 25 years ago. My knees were shaking at the time. I was married. I had, a mortgage and 2 cars, and my oldest son was probably about 2 years old. And I got called unceremoniously into the vice chairman's office of the company I was working for and told, I'm being laid off. Now, first and foremost, Sabrina, I was very confused because I just brought in $2 million in project revenues just 6 to 8 months earlier. I was like, well, take it out of that. That's $2 million, take it out of that. I don't make any grand, take it out of that. They weren't listening to me. So what I did was, my first motivation, Sabrina, I'm sorry guys, was revenge. I'm going to show them you need something that's going to move you to where you're either going to win or you're going to die. Notice I say try. You either do or don't do. There's no such thing as try. You're either going to do it or you're going to die. But you're not going to, failure is not an option. So that's what got me there. So first was revenge. Then as I was bumping along and languishing and eating ramen noodles, I never want to see another box of ramen noodles ever again. Ever. You can do some very innovative things with ramen noodles, guys, which I'll share with you if you care to hear them. Ramen noodles can be like rice, you can make it like linguine, but I'm only being partially humorous. So I got tired of the languishing, but just because you're sick and tired of being sick and tired doesn't mean things are going to change. But as I began to get these principles, and one thing I'll mention to everybody, this was a subconscious and subliminal thing. What I'm telling you now has been beautifully, cohesively coordinated and brought together and